when Dr. Dre was robbed of $20 million by people he was introduced to by Suge Knight? How come Suge Knight and David Kenner pleaded the Fifth Amendment, claiming that their testimony might incriminate them? Oh yeah, let's get into some of this straight game.
Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button notification, as it helps the video to get pushed further out into the YouTube universe and helps more people come across some of this straight game. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's very much appreciated. Tell a friend. But most importantly, if you're new to the channel and you would like to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and hit the bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, most people don't know this, and this information is rarely, if ever, talked about from the perspective of Dr. Dre leaving Death Row. The prevailing notion and story that goes out, Dr. Dre, he left with nothing, and so on and so forth. Well, that's actually not true, but that was the story that was pushed out, if you will, from that perspective. Dr. Dre was robbed not only partially by not getting what he was supposed to get when he left Death Row, which was half of the company, but you can get into the other aspects of that and what that meant and what that was about from the perspective of the Tupac situation and so on and so forth, as Pac didn't either. But Dr. Dre was robbed by the accounting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers for the tune of $20 million, if you will. And so most people don't know that. So when you actually think about it, and it took him, I would say about 4 or 5 years for them to settle the lawsuit with Dr. Dre in regards to that, and I'm going to read to you the actual what they did and how they did it, and who actually introduced him to the accounting firm. And it says, Dre said, "They stuck it to me big time." Dr. Dre, aka Andre Young, told the Los Angeles Times, "They lure you into this pitch about how expert they are in the art of money management, and then they just rob you blind." The rapper claims that in 1993, Suge Knight insisted he hire Coopers and LeBrand, which has since merged with Price Waterhouse to watch over his finances. Dre hired Gelfand, Renard, and Feldman, the arm of the company that also managed Suge Knight's interests. Bad move right there, as a matter of fact. Its accountants, Stephen Cantrock, was eventually fired after an internal investigation, and the firm paid $8 million to Suge Knight to resolve his claims, right? PwC sold Gelfand, Renard, and Feldman in 1998. And basically what happened was, it says the firm has given a total of $10 million to Death Row Records, with the balance going to Death Row artist Snoop Dogg. Most of y'all didn't know that. So Snoop had got paid from them as well from that perspective in regards to the settlement, and they were supposed to be handling and accounting probably for Snoop also. PwC spokesperson Steven Silber would not comment to the Times as to why the firm refused to budge with Dr. Dre's case after these other payouts. And according to the court documents at that particular time, the firm failed to pay Dr. Dre $4.6 million in salary that he was supposed to get from Death Row, $1.1 million in artist advances he was supposed to get from Death Row, and $3 million in publishing advances, and $2.3 million in unpaid profit from Death Row, and $2.9 million in artist and producer royalties. Wow. So, I don't know how they were doing it, if it was something that, maybe Suge Knight was saying, don't pay Dre and so on and so forth, right? But evidently, Dr. Dre's, his situation was in order, so much so that he actually filed a lawsuit. It goes on to say the suit also contends that Cantrock made loans from Dr. Dre's funds of approximately $775,000, plus unauthorized payments of more than $7.9 million. In addition, it alleges Cantrock authorized the purchase of jewelry that Dre never saw. Right? The firm has had its share of problems. The Securities and Exchange Commission censured PwC in January for conflict of interest violations when employees bought stock in companies they were auditing. PwC also paid out $108 million in fines in recent years for overlooking financial irregularities in Robert Maxwell's British media empire. So basically, they were just committing fraud all the way around. But the astronomical amount of money that they had got Dr. Dre for was crazy. So they wasn't even paying Dre. They were using Dr. Dre's money to basically live this lavish lifestyle and do things, with his money without even paying him. But guess what? They said revenge, or should I say what you would call, not revenge, but when you have your financial house in order and you have great attorneys, Dr. Dre, he's always had Howard King, who's a phenomenal lawyer here in Hollywood. And Howard King handled his business. As a matter of fact, Mr. King is also the lawyer for the Tupac estate. But check this out. So what happened was they eventually settled with Dr. Dre, and they settled for the sum of $15 million, if you will. And it says rap star Dr. Dre, real name Andre Young, has settled a fraud and breach of contract suit with accounting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers. His attorney, Howard King, told The Hollywood Reporter. Sources said the case settled for an estimated $15 million. The suit alleged that the accounting firm had looted tens of millions of dollars from Dr. Dre's accounts during his years as co-owner of Death Row Records. The case had been slowed because accountant Steve Cantrock, Death Row honcho Marion Suge Knight, and attorney David Kenner had all taken the Fifth Amendment, claiming that their testimony could incriminate them. Now, that's a whole nother situation right there. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe, you can claim the Fifth and not, incriminate yourself, but I would think that something nefarious was going on in regards to them probably telling Steve Cantrock what to do and not to pay Dr. Dre. And so I think at the end of the day, that's what the first part of the when they filed the lawsuit, that's what it sounded like to me. And so because they didn't want to pay Dr. Dre at first, but I believe the guy Steve Cantrock basically came out and said that Suge had threatened him. As a matter of fact, he did. That Suge had threatened him and made him sign an affidavit saying that he had stole upwards of $4 million from Death Row. And so by them not testifying, from that perspective at that particular time, they were basically asserting their Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate themselves. Basically, it says the 3-year-old suit, which was scheduled to go to trial by the end of the month, was settled to the mutual satisfaction of both parties, King said. That's very interesting, man, because like I said, a lot of people really didn't know. So when you tally that up, the $15 million, for whatever reason, when they say Dre left with nothing, no, he actually didn't leave with nothing. He got his money, but he just got it from the actual accounting firm in which Suge Knight, he said that Suge Knight had introduced him to, in which it seems like the guy Steve Cantrock had a conflict of interest. And we understand that the accounting firm was sued and had legal trouble for having a conflict of interest and was investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So yeah, so that story that Dr. Dre, when he left with nothing. He really didn't leave with nothing. He left being owed money, and he pursued the right legal avenues to be able to get paid that money. And as you see right here, he got $15 million. So like I said, a lot of people, Dre left with nothing, and, so on and so forth. They don't even know about this situation. They don't even know about this case or a lot of the other stuff that happened behind the scenes. And I remember when this situation had settled, and I remember also the situation with Suge had settled, but I wasn't really sure of the legal ramifications as far as, or should I say, the illegalities of what had happened in regards to that. So yeah, and as we see now, Dre, still doing his thing, and moved forward and became even much more successful. Yeah. So most people, like I said, I just wanted to bring you some of this straight game in regards to that. Yeah, Dre got his $15 million. And so the story, the prevailing story that Dre left with nothing is simply not true. He was owed money, and he pursued the right legal avenues to be able to get his money. You know what I mean? And yeah, $15 million ain't nothing to sneeze at. So especially back then in like to 2000 and 2001. You know what I mean? So yeah, your boy DELRAY, straight game.